So in the following videos, we'll be making one by one the APIs that will be required for this project. So we'll just list down the APIs required, okay? So wait for a second. I think there is some problem. So now I'll be just noting down, like the first API would be for connecting to the database. Okay, the database, this will be the first API. First API would be connecting to the database. Second API would be updating the values from ESP12E or Arduino to the database. The third API would be for displaying to the gauge. Okay, so we'll be making 3 APIs for this project. So we'll just start. For PHP, I hope you have some basic knowledge of C. Okay, PHP is just like C programming. Okay, it's like similar to, you cannot say it's just like C programming, similar to C programming, with some conditionals are same, the rules are same. So if you have some basics of C programming, you may follow this, or for some syntax and all, you can visit the website of PHP and you can just have some brush up, or is actually not required. Okay, PHP, it starts with this and it ends with this. Okay, so you have to sandwich the code between these two. So after this, I've named this as connection.php. I'll show you how I saved. So in PHP, you create a variable like this. Okay, suppose if you want to, I'll give you just basics of PHP. Okay, if you want to create a variable called name. Okay, in C you keep it as char star name or string name, or if you want to keep some integer, you keep it as integer and float and so on. But in PHP, you just have to put a $sign, and suppose if you want to create a variable that is name, just keep it as name and just as like C only have to end with a semicolon. And I just created a variable. If you want to print this, you have to write echo and I have to write down name, and it prints out this thing. Okay, so variable is written to this and printing is through echo. Okay, that was some basic thing. Okay, so I'll create a variable called server name. Yeah, server name, and it would be localhost. Okay, and the second would be username. Server name you have to keep always as localhost. Okay, and username. Okay, for username you have to give your database username. Okay, I think you have copied the database username, so copy it back from the notepad from the notepad. Okay, I had copied in the notepad as in the video number 2, and I'm just pasting it from there. And the third would be password. This would also be the database password. Okay, I had told you to save these things earlier because it would be required again and again. So this is very important, that's why I told you to save it. Don't forget the semicolon. The username is database username and db password. Okay, and now you have to give the I'll make a variable with db name. This is the database name. Okay, so my database name was this. Copied and pasted it. Okay, it's done. Database name. So now what we have to do is we have to make a connection. Okay, we have to create a connection. Okay, connection, we have to create a connection. Connection is created using a function in PHP that is mysqli connect. Okay, so this is a function that takes in parameters as host. Okay, so you can see here it is in notepad plus. The parameters are host, username, password, and db name, and you can write other things also as port, socket. Actually these are not required. I will just write down these 4 things. Okay, host, username, password, and database name. So just host as server name and the we created variables so that these would be easier to write. That's why I created the variables. Okay, you can just write this down here if you want without creating the variable, but for better understanding you have to, it's better to write this. Password and db name. Okay, it's done. Now with this it would be connected, but what if sometimes there may be in programming and this stuffs, in all these stuffs, there never occurs some very like is never occurs, everything is not correct every time. Okay, so we have to write down some code for some corner conditions or some anomalies. Okay, so, like suppose if it does not connect, we should know that it is not connected, otherwise we'll be just finding out what is wrong with our code. So we'll just make another variable called con and we'll store whatever response it gives in that con. So now we'll give a conditional statement as if, just open and close. Okay, now if connection, if con is true, okay, if connection happened, then you just write echo connection established. Okay, or it's an optional thing. Okay, you just, if you want to know all these things, okay, you just uncomment it. Else die is a function that takes in some anomalies. Okay, so connection failed because of you should also know why the connection failed, right? So because of, give, and in C, another thing is that in C, how do we append two strings? We append two strings as, like, suppose a string is A B C D and E F G H. Wait, E F G H. We append two strings like this, right, with a plus sign. But in PHP, we append two strings with a dot sign. Okay, so this is a dot. So same thing we'll do here. Now I'll write dot and my is QLI connect error. Okay, connect error. This function gives the reason behind the connection error. Okay, so it's a very useful feature, so that we know why the connection did not happen, so that we are not like in dilemma that uh, and confusion, okay, in between, and debugging everything. So it's a very tedious task, so it's better we take some measures in the beginning. Okay, now we have already done this. Okay, connecting to the database we have done, so we'll save this file. Second step in the next video will be making this API, updating values, and in the next videos we'll be making another API. Okay, so just save as connection.php. Okay, just save it as connection.php or give any name you want, but you should know the name. Okay, I kept as connection.php. You can keep it as it is, or you can give your own name, but don't forget that name, right? So okay, done. So stay tuned for the next video. In the next video we'll be making another API that will be updating the values of the humidity and temperature to the database.